After 8 babies, 8 C-sections, the question we get the most is, are we done?
Having baby after baby before the first ones can even learn how to wipe their nose is poor pussy management. And
how many kids can you have before you're just like, this is problematic? To even observe, to even know that you have this many kids, like, are you okay? Now,
yes, I've had 8 C-sections. My body, my choice!
Hello, beautiful people. I am Mary Jane. Welcome to Net Voices. A family content creator on TikTok has gone viral. On their podcast, he said, after 8 babies, 8 C-section, the question that got most is, are they done? His response has got people talking and asking, how is it possible to have 8 C-section? A lot of people didn't know you can have 8 C-section, and that includes me. I thought you can have only 3 C-section. Here's the clip.
After 8 babies, 8 C-sections, the question we get the most is, are we done? And my answer is, we're still together.
The video went viral. People on social media are not here for his response. They're not having it. They're dragging him. They're saying, how can you let your wife have 8 C-sections? Is her life, her health and safety not important to you? The wife did a video defending her husband. She said, 8 C-sections, my body, my choice. Don't come for my man. And I thought, okay, oh wow. 8 C-sections, your body, your choice. That's insane. No, it's no. There's another woman on TikTok that had 9 C-sections over 15 years. Yes, 9 C-section. Here's the clip of the woman defending her husband and the other woman that had 9 C-section over 15 years and people's reaction.
Yes, I've had 8 C-sections. My body, my choice! So first of all, we're not going to just come from my husband. Oh, and that smoke alarm is going to keep going off. Y'all weren't in the room with us when we prayed to have kids. There is no limit to the number of C-sections that you are allowed to have. I tell my husband I want a baby, guess what? I get a baby. Because that man loves me down. I decided that I want to have a big family. The only way I could make that happen is through C-sections because my first 2 were emergency C-sections. I've actually been on the table, open, and had doctors tell me, it's like your body was made for this. Not everybody can do this. So if I want a big family, I'm going to have a big family. I have a big family. I was told I wouldn't even be able to have children because of my endometriosis. My oldest, Anaya, God answers. Zariah, God helps. Yasir, rich. His name's Yasir Hashem, rich God. Zaire Shaddai, mighty river. Adonai, rain. Lord rain. Yanai Shira, God will answer my song. Yeshua Shalom, God saves in peace. Yaira Avaya, the Father is my Father. This isn't a flex, it's a testimony. You weren't there when they told me I couldn't have kids, but he was. He has supported me. He has stood by me. He's been in every surgery room. He's been by my side, every doctor's appointment, with every kid. Now he's a father of 8. For those of y'all that want to know if we're done, we're still together.
I had 9 C-sections, so how far apart were they? Well, I had my oldest when I was 17 years old. She was born at 42 weeks after a failed Pitocin induction. And then 1 year, 11 months later, I had a planned C-section with number 2 at 39 weeks. Baby number 3 was also a planned C-section at 39 weeks, and that gap is 1 year, 2 months. Baby number 4 was a planned C-section at 39 weeks, and he was born 2 years, 2 months later. Baby number 5 was also a planned C-section at 39 weeks. That age gap is 1 year, 7 months. Now, baby number 6 was supposed to be a planned C-section at 39 weeks, but because I had tummy pain and a uterine window, he was born actually at 37 weeks. That age gap is 1 year, 8 months. Baby number 7 was a planned C-section at 36 weeks, and that age gap is 2 years, 3 months. Baby number 8 was also a planned C-section at 36 weeks, and that age gap is 2 years, 5 months. Now, baby number 9, I just had him last summer. He was a planned C-section at 37 weeks. I got them to let me go a week longer, and that age gap from his big sister is 1 year, 10 months. So, to recap all my C-sections, number 1, the shortest age gap is just 1 year, 2 months. The longest age gap is 2 years, 5 months. And then altogether, the total gap is 15 years. I've been so blessed with these 9.
I had a whole dissertation to type about the risk associated with repeated C-sections, and then I looked at the lady in her videos, and she seemed to be happy. She seems to be exactly where she was. So for my peace of mind, I'm going to stop trying to save every woman and just block her and let her make her decisions. I also hate family content where they monetize off of like their children by posting them on the internet, or by posting them in skits, or by recording them for clicks and views. I just think it's very traumatizing. I also tend to judge people who have extremely large families, and especially when kids are so close in age that you're not really taking the time to really nurture them, really spend time to them or get to know them. I feel like if you have 8 kids, realistically, you can't know every single person's personality. You cannot be at 8 recitals at the same time, 8 basketball games. You cannot be reading to all 8 of them every single night and giving them the individualized attention that they may need with homework and things along those lines. I just think it's irresponsible, and I've noticed a trend of people doing reckless shit like this and then coming on the internet and trying to monetize and market themselves as like this wholesome family.
My original video before this was too rude, so I had to remake it. But no way you love yourself, no way you love your children, and no way your husband love you. We know you love your husband because you keep giving him babies. You know, and with pregnancy, men are, lightly educated about it, but they know enough to where that shit is life or death. At a certain point as a man, you should look at your girl and be like, I can't keep doing this to you. Like, we got a beautiful family already. Maybe we need to take a break. And the reason why I say you don't really love your kids like that is because you're more in love with this man and how he feels when you give him a child. And you don't love yourself because you keep putting your body through it. I said what I said. She gonna probably hate me or block.
How many kids can you have before you're just like, this is problematic? To even observe, to even know that you have this many kids, like, are you okay? Now, we have, under the laws of the Bible, made it that you can have as many kids as you want. No one asked. The government can't intervene socially. To even say something is rude and frowned upon. You can have 50 children, 100 children. Maybe you don't even need that much. Maybe you just need 8. This gentleman has said on a podcast. Wait, I'm going to try and redo it. Wait. Come. A lot of you ask me, imagine the music in the background. A lot of you ask me how many children I'm going to have. No, what did he say? I got it wrong. Wait, I'll come in. He said, a lot of you ask me, are we going to have any more children after my wife's 8 children through C-section? And my answer is, are we still together? And then it cuts to her and she looks like, what? You ain't touching my womb again. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, I'm going to say a lot of men who have a vision of how many children they have, and they ignore all data that says that this could be deathly to the mother of your children. It's actually a very serious topic. How many children do you want to have? And like, I grew up as a team of 4. Having 4 is great. So many times it was great. A couple of times it weren't, but mostly it was great. And I would never inflict that on somebody else, though. I would never demand that somebody must deliver this many children. More importantly, if they have had 8 C-sections, which tells me that delivering vaginal births are not possible, viable, sustainable, or healthy, I wouldn't ask them to do it 8 times. For the love of the person, not just my vision. That is scary.
After 8 babies, 8 C-sections, the question we get the most is, are we done? And my answer is, we're still together.
Notice how he says my answer, not her answer, not our answer that we made together mutually as a couple. Some men legitimately do not care about their wives' well-being. Some men see their wives as the key that can unlock a certain lifestyle, that can build their sort of dream family, and kind of just throw caution to the wind in terms of the health consequences that she might bear. So let's talk about those health consequences and why we don't recommend people have many, many C-sections, and why 8 C-sections is a little scary, a lot scary. The first thing that comes to mind is placenta accreta. That's when the placenta grows deeply into the wall of the uterus, and then we can't get it out as easily after the baby is born, and that can lead to a massive hemorrhage. Postpartum hemorrhage is like the leading cause of maternal death after having a baby. Then there's something called adhesions. After you have surgery, there is scar tissue and adhesions that develop all around the areas that were manipulated during the surgery. We're not just talking about scar tissue and adhesions on the uterus, but also the neighboring organs like the bladder and the gut and all of that. And it makes it really difficult subsequent surgeries for the surgeon to get to the parts of the body that they need to get to. And it significantly increases the risk of things like bladder and bowel injury. Then there's the issue of the incision itself becoming less and less strong after each subsequent surgery. You get something called a uterine window, which is essentially where you might get to the point where there's like only a very thin membrane separating the baby and the contents of the uterus with the abdomen, and you can have a uterine rupture and bleeding, and the baby could even end up in the abdomen and perish. Those are the big ones, but we haven't even talked about increased risks of infection or abnormal placentation in future pregnancies or pelvic floor issues for the rest of her life potentially. Marry a man who loves you as much as he loves the idea of having a big family.
Do not get mad at the public when they see your husband as the womb abuser he is. Here's the story, but y'all know I'm not a storyteller. So a woman and a man decided to do a podcast, and they asked her husband, which is the man, do you plan on having more kids since you have 8 kids and all 8 of them was through C-section, and medically it's recommended to have 3 C-section, in one lifetime. You can't go more than that. You might can, but that is the medical advice. Now, the way he answered the question was, we're still together, aren't we? What do you want people to get from that? Like, it literally feels like he answered the question like, oh, I'm only with her because she's popping babies. If she's not popping babies, I'm not going to stay with her. Her job is to reproduce. I am using her womb to give me kids. And what doctor's recommending is doing these C-section for you? Like, can you sue? Obviously, they're getting paid too, because that doesn't make any sense. Why the doctor keep cutting you over and over again? I'm like, okay, it's recommended 3. Maybe we can go by 5. But after that, why are we doing this? We're still together, aren't we? What kind of answer is that, ma'am? You need to go. You don't be mad at the internet. Go home and ask him, what exactly does that mean?
Have you guys seen that video of a woman saying that she's had 9 C-sections and then she's describing the symptoms or like the long-term side effects? I thought that getting like 2 C-sections was dangerous and getting 3 was like a no-go, because they're literally cutting into you and cutting into your uterus to get your baby out. Like, over time, the uterus is a big muscle, so like cutting into it 9 times is gonna loosen it. My question is, how is she even still here on this earth after 9 C-sections? That's just taking things way too far, in my opinion, and I don't know. That's just crazy. When I watched that video, I did start to feel bad, and this may get me canceled. I started to feel bad because I'm like, wow, like 9 C-sections, that's crazy. She must be like suffering every day, which she probably is. But then I'm like, wait a second, why are you putting yourself in situations where you're going to have another C-section? You know what I mean? Maybe that makes me sound mean because I'm like, oh, well, why do you keep getting pregnant? But 9 C-sections, like, come on, dude. That's a lot.
I personally don't feel that a doctor would have approved 9 C-sections. My personal belief is that when she says that a doctor approved 9 C-sections, she means that she came to the doctor after her 8th C-section and said, hey, I'm pregnant again. And the doctor said, oh, fuck, we got to get the baby out somehow. I guess C-section is the best answer, because she's had 8 C-sections. And that's not the same as saying that the doctor approved of a 9th C-section. That's not the same as saying that your doctor wants you to have 9 C-sections. That's saying that you had 8 in a row and now you're pregnant again, and unless the doctor is going to suggest an abortion, there's no other way for him to get the baby out. Like, this is, the doctor needs to get the baby out one way or the other, and they're not going to recommend an abortion if they know that the patient's not going to do that. So It's not like she can throw the baby up. Like, where is it supposed to come out of? Because at that point, yeah, vaginal delivery is still much more dangerous because your uterus is essentially as thin as paper and has been stapled together multiple times. Are you going to try to squeeze and contract a baby out of that? That sounds like a recipe for a uterine rupture. My personal belief is not that the doctor was like, you know what, girl, let's install a zipper down there because you already had 8. What's a 9th, you know? I think it's more of, girl, I done told you not to come back with 8. Now you have a 9th. Might as well. All right, come on back. Like, that's what I think is actually happening here. So I think that her using that as justification as to why it's okay to have so many C-sections isn't exactly honest, because it's not like the doctor was like, hey, you know, you might as well go out and get pregnant again. I mean, what's a 9th? You've already had 8. It's the doctor saying, well, I can't tell you no because you already did it, so I guess let's figure out how to get it out of you. Like, it's not a good thing. The doctor's not encouraging 9 C-sections like she's trying to make it sound. The doctor is probably praying all 9 months up until that 9th C-section. That's like saying your mechanic's supportive of your car accident because he fixed your car.
I've had 9 C-sections over 15 years. My most recent one was 10.5 months ago.
Obviously a lot of layers to this, but what is really blowing my mind is that she has a husband that does not give a fuck about her or their 9 children, which is crazy. It's crazy that they are both at the same level of selfishness, and they are both just repeatedly doing this, where they risk their children losing their mothers and then this, or their mother, and this guy just does not give a fuck if his wife is having a horrific surgery every year for 9 years.
And y'all can be mad at me all y'all want, but having baby after baby before the first ones can even learn how to wipe their nose is poor pussy management. And just to go ahead and clear the air in the comments, because I know these points like to be brung up when this conversation gets brung up. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care if your man is faithful and he helps you out a lot. I don't care if your grandma helps you babysit. That's not my point. My point is this. Having children is one of the biggest responsibilities that you can take on. Every child deserves your time. They deserve your attention. They deserve your money. They deserve your emotional availability. They deserve your patience. They deserve your protection. All of that. So when I see a woman having baby after baby while the first one is still a fucking baby, I had to ask myself, has she really fucking thought this shit through? Because think of it like this. If you had to leave out of town unexpectedly, who's watching your 5 to 6 kids? If one of your children needs extra attention, realistically, right? How much time can you give them when 3 or 4 of your kids need that exact same time? And every additional child changes the equation. All I'm saying is that family planning should be intentional, especially if you are a woman. I don't care, mama's babies, daddy's maybes. It is not that much child support in the world. There ain't. And babies do not just stay babies. They become toddlers, then children, teenagers, and adults. Adults who deserve to feel like they were loved, seen, and appreciated. Not just housed and fed, like a lot of y'all think.
I had 9 C-sections, so how far apart were they?
Okay, so I get this question a lot. How many C-sections is too many? Well, there's no real cutoff. There's no statement by ACOG that says that, you know, after 2 it's too many, after 5 it's too many. Every OB has their own preference of what they recommend. I usually recommend to my patients that they should stop after 4, and I'll tell you my reasoning why. With every C-section, there are risks. There's risk of bleeding. There's risk of damage to nearby organs like the bladder and the bowel. There's risk of infection. The more C-sections you have, the more scar tissue you have, and these risks just keep increasing. Now, some of you may have heard of what's called the placenta accreta spectrum. That's when your placenta grows into your uterus. In that case, you usually have to have a hysterectomy. This is what it looks like. So this is a normal placenta here. See, there's that pink layer in between the placenta and the uterus. So these 3 are the accreta spectrum, where the placenta grows into the uterus, and then it can also grow out of the uterus into other organs. Now, the biggest risk for placenta accreta spectrum is history of C-section plus placenta previa. So if you have placenta previa and it's your first C-section, the risk of accreta is 3%, with your second 11%, third 40%, then 61%, then 67%, and then after that, obviously, it keeps going higher. You can have an accreta even without a placenta previa. So in this article, they talk about, in the absence of placenta previa, the risk of accreta is well documented. So 0.03, 0.2%, 0.1%, 0.8%, and then you see they're at over 5, it jumps to 4.7%. So that's why I usually tell my patients that they should stop after 4. This is from the Mayo Clinic. After each C-section, bands of scar tissue called adhesions may develop. Thick adhesions also raise the risk of a bladder or bowel injury as well as serious bleeding. The risk of health issues linked to C-section incisions go up as the number of incisions go up. Okay, so this article talks about wound healing phases, just wounds in general, not necessarily C-sections. And it says here, the ultimate resulting scar will never have 100% of the original strength of the wound and only about 80% of the tensile strength. So you can imagine every time you take a cut, you're losing about 20% of the strength of that tissue. The highest number of repeat C-section I've done was in residency. It was a patient's 10th. We did in the main OR, we had general surgery with us, we had 2 units of blood on hold, multiple IV board lines. The C-section ended up going uneventful, but we were over-prepared. I remember her tissue just being like paper mache. It was so bad. And actually getting to the baby wasn't the hard part. It was putting everything back together because everything was just shredding. If you watch her whole video, she does mention that, I don't remember exactly which number baby, but she started having to do her C-sections early at 36, 37 weeks because she started to have a uterine window. A uterine window is where your uterus starts to separate, and that's like the step before your uterus actually ruptures. So we already know that her uterine tissue is very weak. Pregnancy in many cases is a choice, and so is birth control. So if you would like to discuss options for birth control, please talk to your OB/GYN healthcare team.
The woman that had 8 C-section and the other one 9 C-section over 15 years, that's crazy. I believe people should do what works for them. Being caught 8 to 9 times must be tough on their body. That's a lot. What about their health and safety? How safe is it to go under the knife 9 times? No way. This is a situation where how you feel, or if you have a strong opinion, or you simply want to educate them on the risk involved, and you're not being judgmental, it's not going to make any difference to them. They're going to do what they want to do because she's saying, my body, my choice. What can you say to someone like that? At the end of the day, they're the one being caught and pulled each time they have a baby. Both women feel strong and happy about their decision. If they like it, I love it for them. What do you all think? What are your thoughts? Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.